Alright guys, we got another little quick thing here we're doing to the camper. If you can't tell, we're doing all kinds of mods here lately. We're getting ready for our first trip of the spring.
Yes.
Overlooked the pollen on the camper because we just got it out of the winter. I mean, it's been sitting here in the winter and we're fixing to shine her all up for our first trip. But we're trying to get everything, all the work done to it that we wanted to get done first.
And we know if we wash it today, it's just going to be this way again tomorrow.
True.
Yeah.
So we still got about another week before we leave out on our trip. But anyways, I was going to bring you a whole video on the LevelMate Pro Plus, but to be honest, it's so simple. It's only a few minutes. It
didn't warrant a full video, I don't think. It's so simple to install.
Yeah. So we're going to throw several things in this video all at once. I had mentioned on a previous video about how I rewired our front cap lights here. I don't know what you call them. The ones on the front here that's decorative that light up at night. The switch was originally up and under here in this cargo bay here.
Yes.
And it was so aggravating because
we'd go to bed at night and then we would go, oh shoot, we forgot to turn the lights off. So you'd have to get up, come outside, get the keys, open the compartment, hit the switch, go back in, get back in bed. It was just a hassle.
Yeah. And so I moved the switch inside right next to the bed.
Yes.
Easy thing to do. So I'm going to show you that real quick. We've cleaned out our whole inside cargo compartment here. We've taken everything out, cleaned everything. Probably the first time we've cleaned that floor since we bought the camper, I hate to say, but you know, you get it piled up with stuff and you don't want to take everything out. But anyways, we took everything out because we bought some new storage containers. We noticed that our old storage containers was airtight.
They were a little too airtight. Yeah.
And we had tried to poke some holes in them, but then they got brittle and cracked.
Yes.
So that causes problems when you're carrying your water hose and stuff in there. You don't want that water hose to get moldy and everything for not getting ventilation to it. So we bought some new crates and everything, put everything in. They're supposed to be here today. And so we're going to just wrap all that in one video. It still ain't going to be, but it'll still be a short video, guys. But we just kind of want to give you everything instead of just 2 minutes on this. So, like I say, we've seen a lot of other people use this. This is something else, like our RV locks that we did on another previous video. We've been putting this off for years. We've wanted one forever, but I got a $20 off coupon, so I decided, hey, let's buy one.
Well, and I will say, this actually, we're impressed enough with it that it does warrant a whole video all on its own, but the installation doesn't. Yeah. The installation is super easy, but the product is amazing. Yeah.
So let me show you real quick what we went through to hook it up, and then we'll show you our little light switch mod, and we'll move on from there. Okay. All right, guys, literally, this took maybe 5 minutes to install this whole thing. The only things you're going to need is a screwdriver and a tape measure. So the first thing you got to do when you're starting to set everything up, obviously first you want to get your camper level, but let's start out with that. It asks you some specifics about your camper. It wants to know how wide your camper is from tire to tire. And so I just simply got the tape measure. Kim got on one side, I got on the other. We measured outside tire to outside tire is what it said. Punch that into the app. That does have an app that you download. I probably skipped that part, but real simple. As soon as you open the box, it's got like one of those little scannable things. As soon as you open the box for your setup instructions, that downloads the app for you, walks you through it step by step. So again, measure outside tire to outside tire. Then you measure from your very back tire, the center of your back tire, to the center of your jack. It wants to know how many inches that is. You set that up. Then, if you have slide outs and everything like that, it tells you if you want to accommodate for those, because some slides are so big it does move the camper a little bit. Our slide's so small on this and it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. But if you want it perfectly level once your slide is out, put your slides out, get your camper perfectly level. Then that's where we mounted our LevelMate Pro up in here. I'll show you a better picture of that. We kind of tucked it up out of the way, and it does hook up via USB plug-in, and that way you don't have to worry about the battery running down, changing the battery and all that. So we're going to keep it dedicated because I do have a plug-in under here. So we kind of decided where we wanted to mount it. Once we got the camper perfectly level, we mounted it. That was one of my fears when we bought this, is I thought it would be a pain because I thought you'd have to get the level on the box and actually level out. You don't. You mount it wherever you want to mount it. It asks you which way the directions, the label on it is pointing on the camper, so it knows how it's oriented. And then once you get your camper perfectly level, you mash a button on there that says level. It's done. It's that easy. And so now, once we're backing into the campsites and like that, we can tell, especially like, you know, some campsites are better than the others. Some of them are really level. You never have any issues. Some of them may be gravel pads and maybe it's washed out or something like that. So now, as soon as we're backing in, we can kind of get really, really close to level, maybe without even having to use anything under the tires. If it is way off level, then we know it'll show us how many inches. It goes in 1/4 inch increments. And so we'll know if we need to put a pad up and under it or, you know, something like that. So I think it's going to be really great. Now, to be fair, we haven't tried it out yet. Like I said, we went on our first camping trip here in about a week. I'll follow up in another video with how we like it. We've seen enough other campers use it that we know we're going to love it, because now, you know, you get out, you have to get out with your little level and put it in on your floor, and it seems like we always forget something, you know. If you're one of those campers that forgets to unhook before you check your level, then you're out of level, then you got to hook your truck back up. So we always say take your time when you're setting up, that way you don't make any mistakes. But I think this will help ease when we pull into the campground, because we can get real close to level and maybe not even have to put anything under the tires at a good campground. So let me show you where we put that, and then we'll move on from there. So this is where we chose to mount it at. Again, we just chose this spot because it's close to the receptacle here. I haven't got my little cube put on the wire yet, but we will plug it right in here. I also carry a portable charging unit in case we're about to boost a vehicle or something off, and I plug it in this receptacle too. But that's kind of where we picked there. We moved it up as tall as we could so it'll be out of the way. I mean, it was literally that simple. It even comes with little glue dots, so you can kind of stick it on your wall. Then you screw 2 screws in it, and you're done. Mm-hmm. Alright, these are the lights I was talking about. I don't know what you call these things, but they're LEDs. They're gorgeous at night. We love using it when we go to Disney, because generally it's dark when we come back in the campground when we're at Disney. And so it just makes it really easy to spot in the campground, especially when you got a bunch of campers around or whatever, you know. And it's a little bit dark out there because it is pretty wooded. So I love the lights, but the problem was the hookup was in this pass-through area, or the wet bay area, and it was right up in here. And it was such a pain because, again, you know, we always keep our stuff locked, so we would lock this cabinet, get inside the camper and, you know, eat supper or whatever, jump in bed to go to bed at night, and then realize we left the lights on. And we don't want to be, you know, uncourteous to any of our neighbors, because that light is really bright, so we don't like leaving it on all night and bothering other people. And so we always try to turn it off. But then, like I say, you'd have to get up, slip shoes on, something to get back out here and turn it on. So I decided, I took all this apart, and it's very simple because the wires literally just ran from right here where all the wet bay is to the other side of the bay over here. So all I had to do was get some extension wires. I just went and I checked the what gauge wires it was and got enough wire to run it back across. And then our bedroom is right inside here where we already had plug-ins and stuff to plug our phones in. And so I just put a switch inside there. Let me take you inside and I'll show you. Okay, so here we are in the bedroom in our camper, and right over here beneath our closet area is where we already had USB plugs to plug in our phone at. We also have a 110 AC plug, you know. So all I did was, and this pass-through hooks to the wet bay underneath the camper right there where I was showing you a minute ago. So literally all I had to do was, I bought this switch right here, got it on Amazon because it was cheap. Used the faceplate to cut my hole out, and like I said, this hole goes through to where all the existing wiring and plumbing and everything is anyways. So all I had to do was literally just extend those wires. I just took some crimps and took the wires out there and unhooked the switch. Actually, I didn't buy this switch, did I? I used the switch that came with it. I actually took this switch out from the bay out there and just moved it inside here. So once I unplugged it, I just extended those wires, run it right through, and then did a little cutout, screwed it in, snapped the cover back on it, and voila, now I can turn those lights on and off from inside.
Okay guys, we looked all over for some storage solutions for the outside compartment of our camper here. And so we were searching Amazon and just couldn't really decide what we wanted. We came across these little guys. They come in a pack of 4. They're collapsible totes. So you just pop it open and snap the ends in. And then you have like a milk crate. and these stack. You can put one on top of the other. I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little bit of a lip here. So you can sit one inside of another if you wanted to stack them tall, or you can do like we've done and play Tetris inside your camper and make them fit your floor space.
Okay, so now the fun part is we get to take all this in these containers and reload everything in the new containers back out in the camper again. But here's what I was saying, these containers here, they kind of seal shut, they snap shut, which we thought would be great. We thought it'd keep it contained with a lid on it. Honestly, the lid's just kind of getting in the way, and with the water hoses and stuff, you don't want mold building up on them. And you know, if you're unhooking the morning of and you're throwing a wet hose in there and it's in a sealed container and you don't go camping for a while, that's not a good thing. So I like the other crates because they are open, they can have air flowing through them, and so I think they'll be better. And these get so big that they're kind of cumbersome to get in and out. The other one's been smaller. Most of these aren't completely full to the brim. So we should be able to break it up in smaller sections, put it in those, and I think it'll flow much better. So I'm not having to get out a huge tote every time I go to hook something up. So I think this will be much better. Alright guys, we're trying to wrap up our video from where we're showing you all of our little things that we've done to the camper lately. We showed you some baskets that we'd bought, and they turned out they didn't work very well. I'll show you why. On our camper here, when we measured, we're pretty tight here because of the wet bay. So on the other baskets, whenever we put them in, because they folded down, they had nubs on the side of the baskets, and so it wouldn't allow them to slide. So now I can take this in and out and they slide easily. The other baskets that was collapsible would not slide. It would get caught on those nubs every time, and it was just too aggravating. So as much as we hated to, we sent those back. We bought some more, and so what we got this time is more traditional milk crates. And I just broke that cable. So we went with more of a traditional milk crate. Now this is it's a 1.5 times the size, and so it's bigger. But notice there's no nubs on the side. It's all smooth. Now the downside is these don't collapse. We was kind of excited about them because they did collapse, so that way if we wouldn't use them, we could pack them up. But it is what it is. These will still, they're short enough that we can double stack them. So you see here, I've got them double stacked, and we actually ended up buying 9 of these, and so I can slide them in and out. I can get to all my different ones I need to. I've got them on the other side also. You can see we got electrical in one, we got some sewer pieces in one, we got our fresh water and some. We are hooked up. We are up here at the Tennessee Grand Design Tennessee Owners Rally, and so like I say, kind of do a little bit of last minute shooting here. We was hoping to finish all this up home before we left to go on our trip, but I did want to at least come back and let you know that the original baskets we showed you didn't work. We switched out to these. Of course, I'll have these in a link below if you're interested in these. These ended up being about the same cost as the other ones. They just don't fold, and so, but for us it worked better. It's going to kind of show you what we was using here for storage, because you know these are vented like we talked about before. That way your hoses don't get moldy or anything, and we just feel like it works for us. So if it worked for you, I hope it helps you out, and that's about it for this episode. Like I say, we've kind of already moved locations. We're up here in the thick of it, up here at the Tennessee Owners Rally, and we'll show you a few clips of that. I won't show you everything because we kind of filmed everything last year, and so we're kind of enjoying it with some of the people we met and friends we met last year. We've actually got to talk to some other people up here about the 390s that we're looking at. So I'll bring you just a few little highlights. It'll just be a real quick video next week. But I wanted to wrap this camper stuff up where we kind of showed you everything that we've done to our camper so far. We do have more we want to do. We're going to end up replacing these locks with RV locks like we did on our doors. These will take a little bit extra because we've got to drill out some rivets. But we do plan on doing that in the future. And we've got a few other things planned too. So as always, stick around, tune in every Sunday at 6, and we'll see you next week.